So about 2 years ago I made a video on why I don't like street fights. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that I'm a boxing fan. I've had a fight in a boxing ring, and I'm a boxing fan. But there is a world of difference between an organised sporting event and just a moronic street fight. Now, what prompted me to make this was a video I've just watched, caught my attention, which was two guys fighting, I guess somewhere in the States, I don't know where, but two young men fighting, and it's a pretty brutal fight, but one of the guys is throwing backwards onto the solid concrete head first, and he's not passed out, but he's clearly in a very bad way, and the other guy continues to punch him even after that. There's blood coming from the guy's face. It's a pretty ugly thing. One person, presumably the guy filming it, is saying turn him over, probably fearing that the guy won't be able to breathe or something. Now, I don't know what the fight was about. Most of these videos don't give any sort of explanation as to what they're fighting about, but I'm guessing most of the time it's gangland culture, or this phony attempt to prove that you're a real man by beating someone up. That doesn't make you a man, beating someone up. It may mean that you're physically strong, but it's not. There's absolutely no honour in that sort of behaviour in that way. Now people might turn around and say, oh, well, that's hypocritical because you follow boxing, but there's a world of difference. Boxing has a code of conduct, boxing has rules, boxing has discipline, boxing has respect for opponents. Most fights, you'll see guys will shake each other's hands afterwards. There'll be good sportsmanship between them most of the time, not always, but and even if there isn't, it's a controlled setting. With a street fight, when you get mostly young men and young women fighting with each other in that sort of environment, with people egging them on, I mentioned in the last video I find it depressing, but there's another side to it. It can ruin lives in an instant. Because of a moment's stupidity, a life could be ruined. In other words, if, say you have two people fighting, and the fight spills onto a road, and a car knocks down one of those people, the other person may well find themselves in jail for manslaughter. So is it really worth it to prove something? And the other thing I find disturbing about these fights is none of the people watching are referees or medical professionals. Most of the time they're just idiots who want to see a fight, and it's they don't consider the dangers involved. There's nothing honourable about being stupid. There's nothing honourable about being that reckless. Even if you beat someone up, what's that proving? All it's proving really is you're behaving like a thug. So I find it disturbing there's so many of these videos online. Particularly disturbing that so many of them are very young. In many cases they can't be much more than teenagers. And that there's no sort of control whatsoever. I mean, I don't want to be hypocritical, puritanical. I'm not a pacifist. I'm not against violence. And I do believe that there are certain circumstances where aggression is justified. If, for example, you are attacked for no reason on the street, defending yourself is entirely human and entirely normal and entirely justified. Likewise, if you're defending a more vulnerable person, say if a guy is defending his girlfriend, that's entirely justifiable. If it's a clear case of defense and not just someone being paranoid and reactionary. But, violence has to be a last resort in those circumstances. There's a lot of situations that can be resolved through words rather than violence. And I do find it disturbing that so many of these videos online, because it's just mindless violence, that's all it is. And it's stupid, and it doesn't prove anything. And there are dangers involved in those sort of fights that you would not get in a sporting event. Yes, there is dangers involved in boxing as well, but there's also a referee and judges and ringside doctors, and I think it's a world of difference. with a street fight, what you have is two people who have no strategy most of the time. They're just hammering blows into each other. Like I've just seen from this fight, very often they don't know when to draw a line, even if the other person is seriously injured. Quite often it takes the crowd to say, oh, get off, he's had enough, she's had enough. And a lot of these videos, it's hard to know if it's a balanced situation or if what we're actually watching is a very vicious form of bullying. If, for all we know, this could be someone getting attacked. So I think it's disturbing that they're clearly marketed as some sort of entertainment, and there's a hell of a lot of people online who talk about these fights as if they are a real sporting event. Now go, he can't fight, or they strategize it as if it is a real sporting event rather than just two idiots beating each other up. Now, like I say, there are circumstances when it's unavoidable if you're defending yourself, and I wouldn't criticize anyone for defending themselves, but people who just go out, organize a fight between themselves, okay, you could argue they're not hurting anyone else, but it is stupid. And you could have lives could be changed in an instant because of a moment's stupidity trying to prove something. You know, it could be someone dying from manslaughter because they've hit their head on the pavement, or being thrown onto a road, or you know, anything could happen, and then another life will be ruined because the other person will be doing time in jail for manslaughter. So I really don't like watching this shit. I just came across that because it was in a thumbnail, and I wanted to check it out to see the context. And this isn't specific to any country. I think it happens all over the world. I've seen it in the United States, I've seen it in China, I've seen it in Britain, in these videos. But it's just, if you think that makes you a man, beating someone to a bloody pulp for just to prove something, no, it doesn't make you a man. And by the way, I would point out that the boxers I respect the most are those who have respect and who behave in a sportsmanlike conduct, who don't trash talk and so on. If you want to fight, then train to be a martial artist and get into a ring and do it properly. Don't beat someone up on the street. Just moronic behaviour. And I think that it's I think a lot of this must be tied to gangland culture, which is poisonous. It just, you know, I don't want to sound too puritanical, but this is a reality and it's a huge problem.